Easter edition of the Going Over podcast. Suck on them eggs, everybody. It's your neighborhood friendly coach, trainer, promoter, and 44-year-old professional wrestler, Zack Primetime Reeb, and I am joined alongside my podcast partner, as always, the 6 feet, 12 inches of the wrecking ball, Paul Isadora. Paul, as being a mark, as Cody Rhodes would say, what do you want to talk about?
Oh man, just well, I was talking to Sparky last night. He was giving me some ideas, like, hey, I don't want to tell you how to do your podcast, but what I've been noticing is that obviously the content, he said, is good, right? You guys are talking about informative stuff, important stuff, but you're only getting out to the people that your circles, the two of you guys, the people that are connected to you guys on social media. He's like, what I've noticed is when you have guests on there who've got a little bit different following, Ugly, Sparky, Edlow, people like that, you get a little bit you get an elevated viewing. He's like, you guys are getting anywhere from 60 to 80 people watching, and he goes, and one of the 50 loyal listeners, just a bit of advice, why don't you guys do a recap on Monday? Why don't you guys have a guest for Friday, somebody who's relevant, making a buzz in the business, so maybe you can capture some of their following and in turn grow your following. So he's like, just give it a shot, man, for 1 month. That's what he said. So
agreed.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to Sparky Ballard, you're on, and I'm going to leave that man right there in charge of surprising me with who this guest is as we widen this screen up.
That's it, man.
3 people once again. The time we tried 4 was with the Ballard brothers was just sheer hell. One of them was just in and out. And
right.
It's like,
well, I mean, and he was kind of giving me some feedback on that specific episode. He's like, those guys are a wealth of knowledge, but he's like, they're just not out there. People don't see them right now as relevant. Like if you would have had them, 8-10 years ago when they were wrestling on a weekly basis, every weekend they're wrestling, they're out and about, and they're, they're crossing paths with people where they can be spreading the word. He's like, you have somebody that's out there, making the rounds right now on the scene right now.
I got it. Your job, Sparky's job. It was Sparky's thing. When we air this thing on Friday, I want Chaz Starboy Hall on this podcast for 1 hour. Let's talk to Starboy, and let's talk about getting advice on what he did from that young age that we know him to get to where he's at today, to be the WWE ID champion and to get signed. Let's talk to him about let's talk shop. That's the goal. I'm going to agree with Sparky. That's who we're trying to get. So I don't know if whenever we're going to record this thing, but that's who let's get on this thing. I agree 100%. Brother, I am all up for listening to everybody's ideas and what we need to do to further all this stuff. Every weekend's a learning experience. So, and I'm blessed. I wanted to talk about something right away. I do. And I wanted to talk about a few things today coming off of the show. So I got some topics. Let's not jump off topic. So let's talk about each one. And I want to get your opinion on it. First off, I wanted to say, since we're talking about Sparky, my God, when he kicked me out of ringside in that first match, Sparky did something that made me realize he is the best referee that has ever come out of another man's semen and swam through the fallopian tubes and cracked into that egg and was born, right? Very descriptive. But the reason I say this is when he kicked me out, not only did he kick me out, but Cordero then made the announcement, 5 minutes have elapsed in this contest. which is something that we had talked about other announcers doing. Like, hey, man, I know 5 minutes have elapsed in this fucking contest, right? But the heel is about to be kicked out of the ring in a pivotal point in this match. Don't make that announcement, first off, right? So don't make that announcement. Second off, Sparky went over to Cordero and reiterated exactly what he was doing and told him to make that announcement verbally to the fans to then really get that announcement over. And then came back over and started arguing with me and then pulled himself out of the ring and walked me about halfway back, continuing to argue with me. And we got backstage and I said, brother, thank you. Because you never left me, you never hung me out to dry. Because most referees will go, you're out of here. And they wait for the initial reaction. And then you have all this space that you're arguing with somebody from a distance and nobody cares. And I even told him you could have closed the gap a little bit all the way up towards the stage. You could have closed it a little bit more. But he didn't. That was the most professional thing I had been a part of in a while, because he never left me hanging out there to not get that reaction. He stayed with me the whole time. He even slid out of the fucking ring. What are your thoughts on that? Because I was just so blessed to have such a professional taking control of it. Just the best referee I've ever worked with, man.
Right. So, I mean, it's, you interfere, you get caught, right? And we try to put that over on commentary as well, right? He was trying to interfere. Sparky caught him, caught him in the act. And it was like the reaction that he had, almost like, I can't believe you cheated right in front of me. And I got you. I caught you doing it. He was flabbergasted. He couldn't believe that it happened, and he couldn't believe I caught you. I watched you do this. You thought you were getting away with something, and I got you, right? So catches you, and he's just like almost in amazement, like, what are you doing? Like, you know better than this. And then it's like, the big, like, almost the Hogan, right? Like, you're out of here, right? So the fans on that side where you were, they understood what was going on because they could see it. It was right in front of them. But to take that next step and go over to the announcer and go, hey, this is what happened, it clarifies it for everyone else in the building as well. Like, because you see some commotion over there. You don't know exactly what's going on. But then it's like that clarity. And then obviously you say he takes it a step further and slides out of the ring and escorts you up the aisle, right? And it's one of those things that we talk about so often with the referees. It's, you're not using your physical power to get someone out of the way or push someone back, or you're not physically putting your hands on someone, because that's not your job. Your job is to point at the logo on your chest. I'm the authority figure. I caught you doing something wrong, so I'm going to solve this problem by now kicking you out of ringside. You're not allowed to be over here, because you have a manager's license. You're able to be out there with bad news legally until you do something like that and break the rules. Now you've lost that chance. You've lost that opportunity. Now you're going to be taken to the back, and then to walk you up the aisle a little bit. It gives the guys in the ring an opportunity to, people don't want to hear the rest spot or anything like that, but it gives them an opportunity to breathe a little bit, to kind of gather their thoughts as well. So they kind of go, okay, all right, what are we moving on with next, right? So that all happens. He takes the fans' attention to that. And then the attention for the other things, stays away from the wrestlers for the time being until you're out of the picture. Then it's boom, right back on the focus of what's going on in the ring. So, Yeah. So, and then Bad News, asked me after that match, what'd you think? Right. And my response was the same thing that you and I talked about from the Young Lions Cup, right? When it's like, well, I'm going to beat this guy with a spear. And I was like, oh, do you think you can beat everyone in this building with a spear? Oh, well, yeah, I sure could. And I was like, I'm not letting you beat me with the spear, right? So it's like, you have, six of one, half dozen of the other on that, right? You go, your character, what can it get beat by, right? What is the parameters of how you can get beaten, right? And we talked a little bit about it on commentary, right? The only way that, he was beat last time with brass knuckles, right? That's the way you're able to beat Bad News. And you just think about bigger people. You hit me with a big solid chair shot. That's what takes me out, right? But if somebody hits me, Bad News, Sin, any big, guy that's going to take a lot to get off their feet to begin with, somebody who's going to take a lot to get beat, what are your parameters? And he had a great response to that. Is we went home when the crowd was at their peak, right? So it's this, I deal with it in basketball all the time, right? Do you go a little lax on your principles or fundamentals? Like for me, something that quickly comes to mind is defensively, basketball wise, I'll always force people to the sideline or the baseline. But then some coaches go, I'm going to force someone to their weak hand, even if that's taking the ball to the middle. So you sacrifice your principles to do something different, right? So in this case, maybe you sacrifice what moves can I lose to we're going to go home when the crowd's the hottest, where we're going to get the biggest reaction. So I don't know your thoughts on that.
I agree with you 100%. I felt that Jesse should have gone up top and hit the frog splash.
I 100% agree with that one. And that's what I actually thought that's what was going to happen, because in his entrance video, right, I have not seen Jesse Garcia prior to the injury, right? All I know is what I see on the highlight reel, and there's a clip of you guys stereo frog splashing, right? So I'm like, I know that's in his moveset. So spear, that takes him off of his feet. You put the icing on the cake with the frog splash. That's what I thought too. So go ahead, keep going.
Well, no, it's 100%, because what did I win the belt with?
A big frog splash. Yeah.
The big frog splash. He's combating me as the baby face, as me being the villain. That's where it's obviously going. And I felt like he should have. I have the super kick in the frog splash. He has the spear in the frog splash. I felt that was the perfect time, especially with match placement where it was. He should have hit the spear in the frog splash, and then I end with that super kick in that frog splash, and now I got the belt. Now we're eye to eye, So that's definitely what that finish would be. But the good thing coming out of it was they listened to the audience. It was funny because before they were in the back talking, and now they're being switched to match one because Boyce wasn't there to work Ramon. So Jesse looks over at me and he's doing his bands, and he goes, "Hey, how long do we got?" And I look over, I'm like, "What do you mean? It's the opener." And he's like, 10, 15. And I call them over there, both of them. And I said, "Hey, that's a pretty fucking wide barometer of time, right? 10 to 15. Like, let's go. We got 2 to 20, but it's like 5 minutes, a 5-minute leeway in the middle there. That's almost a match for some people.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I was very adamant with them. I'm like, what if they want you to go home at 5 or 6 minutes in? I said, if you bring them up, and that's what a lot of stuff happens where everybody has all this stuff planned out. And if you're not listening and you go, okay, that's the sound, we're not getting any bigger than that, and you go past that, you lose it. And especially if in your mindset, you're like, oh, we're going 20, and they want you to go home at fucking the 8-10 minute mark or whatever that is, and then you go an extra 10 minutes, you're going to shit on the rest of the show because you guys are number one tonight. So you have to set the tone for the rest of the evening. And that was the thing where people were like, well, I think that bunkhouse brawl went too long. And I said, it didn't go long enough because I think they could have got another 20 minutes out of that building just screaming Maple's name. Everybody's on their feet. That was it. They're chanting for her. There's still more you can still get more because they're willing. So that's what Al Snow told me a long time ago. I don't think you should put a time on something. No, you shouldn't put a time on stuff like that, especially with blow-offs and build-ups and stuff. But when you're doing television, yes, put a time on that and book it like it's television, because that was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. I've never seen for 25, 30 minutes before the person came out, before their music hit, before their fucking shit came on the screen. I've never heard that many people chant for one human being. It was like, even in that situation where she was down and Buck and Bay were up and doing stuff, she had to get back up because they started chanting her fucking name again. You know what I mean? It's like, and then people say, well, why'd you put that match there? And I put the match there because they're there to see Maple. So we want to keep them in the building as long as we can, which, some left, some stayed, but it wasn't like a very bad noticeable thing. But also she wasn't winning. So she didn't need to be the main event, because when they see her win in that type of an atmosphere, that's when the championship match takes a back seat and becomes the semi-main event or the match before intermission, because Maple's winning on that night. So just a lot of really good stuff happened on there. What are your thoughts on the time that they went? And I mean, that's what we hope for, right? We hope that the audience is going to chant like that for that long all the way through, and to think that they could have got more.
Right. Well, I would maybe agree to disagree on that one. That match, and this is something that when they were doing the best of 7 series at SPW, this is something that conversations I had with Adam for, I think he was in that 2 straight years. I think 1 year with Ugly, 1 year with Rick, and they're doing the 60-minute Ironman match. And I think you and I have talked about this before, but you need to segment things where there's big things happening periodically. And maybe, I don't know, maybe as a fan, it might be different. But from the commentary standpoint, and I talked to you about this last time where we had a match like this, it is so difficult to determine what you should be talking about, right? Because 3 things are happening simultaneously, right? It should be some knockdown stuff happens, that's out of the picture. This is what we're focused on. The fans can watch and digest this. Boom, something happens there. Something else slides in. That's the main focus, right? So we didn't have that. It was a lot of, I almost felt like there was a lot of restarts, like the ring clears, 3 people are standing in the ring. And then it's like, well, it would be stupid for me to come into the ring. You got 3 people holding weapons, right? I'm lamb to the slaughter at that point, right? If I slide in, I'm taking a beating, right? There wasn't a lot of, it's a little bit, I don't know, it's a little bit messy, because what you're talking about is the the cheering for Maple, right? That's one person in this match that's getting a lot of the cheers and stuff like that. They're chanting for her and things like that. And the rest of the stuff was very like, things were just going on almost like there wasn't a rhyme or reason, and the other thing that I was thinking was, if you're going to use weapons, right? You think about the chair shots in your match, the chair shots when there's things between you and I. There's always like, I'm going to take a chair shot. You're going to take a big power bomb. You're going, like something is going to happen, and we're putting a lot of meaning behind that, right? So it looks like, boom, one chair shot, that takes you down. Super kick with the boot on, right? People are like, oh, why did it take so many big boots for Bad News to go down? But you took a bump on one super kick from Zack. It's like, because he had a hard plastic boot on, right? That's not just getting kicked by a shoe with a foot under it. That's getting kicked with a foot with a hard plastic thing on it. So in my mind, it makes sense to take that bump right there. In my mind, if you're going to hit someone with a belt, this happened, I don't know, we'd have to go back and count it, but Maple is just hitting Annabelle over and over, but not one of those shots was like a wind up, like a big sound, big sell, nothing like that. It was just like these almost like, I don't want to hurt you, just over and over, almost like I don't know what else to do right now. Right?
A lot of that was.
A lot of it was like that. A lot of the
bad shots, what I mean?
Bad shots, just it wasn't efficient, right?
No.
We weren't getting the most out of things that we should have been getting the most out of. And Larry and I were having the conversation. Rick hit Sin with a chair 4 or 5 times right there at the end. I was like, because he kept getting back up, right? Boom, he'd go flat. He'd get back up to all fours. Boom, he'd hit him again, flat up to all fours. It's like Rick is going to hit him until he stops getting back up. Because now it's like, now he's incapacitated, right? That's the difference. And it wasn't like he was lightly hitting him with the chair. You think about like the back in the day, Hogan chair shot on someone, and it's like, dude, you hit the dude so fucking lightly. It's like, lay it in, man. Like, you're in a match that has weapons in it, right? It's one of those things where you lay it in, and if you stiff someone with it, in the back later, you go, hey, man, sorry about that. But I thought it lended to the match because all the stipulations and, the stakes behind it, right? I get you with a good, whatever, the slot buckets, they're like stomping and hitting them with it. It's like, you're losing all the sound of the object that you're hitting them with because you're stomping on the mat. And it's like, you've heard it so many times when you throw a punch and you stomp, it makes the same sound as when you body slam someone, right? It's not the same effect on the body. I punch someone, it's not the same effect as if I lift the guy up and I slam him hard onto the mat. But when it makes the same sound in the ring, you lose the perspective on that. So as much as everyone was cheering for Maple and they could do that a little bit longer, the one thing that I enjoyed was, and Larry and I were talking about this on the way home. You're choking out Maple for a long time. And he's like, why didn't they just end it right there? And I was like, well, you need to listen to the crowd because the crowd started coming up, right? Yep. So then she fought back, got out of the belt. Something else happened, some other sequence, boom, then she went down again. Then she got choked out, right? It's just the awesome.
They saw that image of the arm. It was up and then she stopped it. Yep. So they think that maybe this is going to happen again.
Right.
What I was getting at, like that one chair shot I gave Rick at the end, and we talked about because of the delay, I thought Garcia was running out, but how I really one good shot, I put it on him.
Right.
I didn't. That's what you're saying is what the takeaway was from that is like you can give somebody one good shot with each of those weapons and make it one good shot with everything. And that's all you need to get them to sell. So yes, 100%. When you go back and look at that, you're 100% right. The each shot should have mattered, and you could have got the guy selling off of less because that's what we did in the main. So that's a lesson learned. What I was saying in retrospect of it is they're chanting so loud. So obviously they're not looking at this the way we're looking at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely not.
They're not looking at it that way.
For
they're
me,
like, oh my God, this is fucking crazy and amazing.
Right. And I guess for me, from either the fan perspective or the commentary perspective or the worker perspective, those are the things that I look at and go, man, you guys put in way too much work to get the reaction, right? Where you could have done, you know, I'm telling Larry, like, you know, the saying is less is more, right? And it doesn't mean do less stuff. It just means make less stuff matter more, right?
100%.
The one big thing that matters, right? This one thing that takes someone off their feet. This, you know, we were talking about the, you know, when they got the spurs off the boots, right? You know, if it could have been like she's coming at Maple and Maple puts a boot up and stops her and then fucking double noggin knocks these guys together. Then she picks up the item, and then when she turns around, boom, Annabelle cuts her off. You know, it's like you could have just added some little subtleties in there where it just looked like there was so much indecisive, like, what do I do next, right? I've got this weapon. I'm going to hit this guy 5 times with it, instead of, you know, having the focus on something in the ring or something somewhere, right? It doesn't have to be, you know, you could have a couple guys selling down here and you could have the focus on some one thing, right? And that's what I'm talking about with the segmented stuff, right? And I talked about it with Rick and Adam, the Iron Man. It's like, you guys had so many things planned out, but you should be waiting for 5 minutes elapse, 10 minutes elapse, whatever. Some sort of maybe sound cue where you go, okay, hey, we're going to go to that one big thing that we're going to do. Then and we can let the crowd relax. Then this next
you are.
Yeah.
And there you, but are you listening to yourself on this podcast? If we go, what episode are we on?
This is 140, 140.
140 fucking podcasts. I haven't heard you say right and I haven't. You are up out of your seat in this fucking screen, and I have been sitting here enjoying watching you finally tell me with some passion and some fucking conviction about something other than just talking about it, because you were at something and you saw stories being told and you were a part of an energy that now you're looking at and going, you're looking at this wrestling differently because you're involved in it. And now you're looking at it going, hey, maybe what Zach's been telling me this whole time, we talk about this, but that passion right there that I've been watching you for the last 30 fucking minutes, this has been enjoyable for me because I've been waiting for you to fucking bring this shit out. And this is you. No offense, but this is you. Now this is you. You're talking with your fucking hands. Usually you're back here. You might fucking. But that's what I'm talking about. That's the I give a fuck. And if we get enough of those I give a fucks, and there's so much amazing shit happening. And if everybody can understand these stories, and that's what I'm saying about the idea that there's a female that's so fucking good. And I'm not saying like she's great. She's great. She's only going to get better. But she's a fucking star. It don't matter if we go 5 hours to Winnemucca, whatever town we're in. But they're chanting. They don't give a fuck. They're chanting her goddamn name. And everything you're saying, we didn't know going into that match. The idea of the match was there. And then now we look back at it in hindsight and we go, man, there's so much more coaching that needs to go on and something. But the idea that now something is there with such give a fuck from everybody about it. And that's why it's important to tell the stories, man. It just, that's what I've been waiting for, brother. I've been waiting for this guy to sit up in the fucking chair and take fucking over and sit back. And that's why I'm asking you questions about the show. Cause I know I heard it in you this morning when we were talking about what you did at the start of the show with Pogson and Fuego. And I heard you talking in that passion. And I was just like, okay, this guy's like up, ready to fucking rock and roll now, man. But the thing is like, God, there's so much improvement. You know what I mean? When you really look at it, there was so many, but these are also young guys. What was crazy about this event was it was the first ever big extreme measures that we've ever done in 27 years where there was no outside talent. Cause I don't consider you outside talent. I don't consider.
Right. Yeah. And we were talking about that on the way home as well. That's like you said, you know, realistically, you had me and Boyce, you know, that would be the outside talent, you know, quote unquote outside talent, but it's people that are pretty much regulars to your roster, and the rest is your students. And then you think about like, are you pushing the guys a little bit too quickly into situations? You know, I'm thinking like the Shaq and Ethan match. Who, if it starts going off the rails like it did a little bit, who is going to be the one of those two guys that is going to pull it back on track, right? Who's going to get it back on track and get this back where it needs to be? Because it seemed to be derail, and then it kind of got a little bit further off track, and then there wasn't grab a hold, there wasn't shit can a guy and fucking get your mind back together and go, where are we supposed to be going? What story are we telling? Things like that. And then you just think about, okay, so this is the guy you have the belt on, right? Is this the guy that you're going to be like, all right, I have to have you carry this? You know, I'm always thinking like, you got the belt, you're going to be the main event guy. You're going to be one of the main players in this whole situation. Is it going to be a situation where you can go out there and go, hey, you gotta have a good match tonight, right? It's got to be good because you're the champion or one of the champions. What do you do in that situation? Do you feel like if he's getting pushed too quickly? I mean, we said it on commentary a dozen times. This is the sixth match or something along those lines. What do you feel about that? Was it obviously I've been in the ring with him. He's excited, man. He wants to be good at this. You know, it's very much, you can tell the passion, but is he ready for you to put the quote unquote rocket ship on him, right? Is he ready for that? Is he ready to take hold of that responsibility? And I remember distinctly the stress that Adam used to be under being the SPW champion, right? It was something that he took very, very seriously, right? I'm going on last every night. I need to have the absolute best match on this card. There's a lot of pressure on my shoulders. And I knew that there was stress on him. You could tell about it. Like he was, in most cases, really like, we're driving on the road. It's very much goofing around, joking, talking wrestling. But there was times that it was like, you could tell he was stressed. Like, the pressure's on. I got to have a really great match tonight. Do you think there's any of that? Those stakes, do you feel like those stakes are put on these guys that are holding championships, like they have to have a good match, or do you feel like it's just a prop?
No, it's not just a prop. And to answer that question, and this is why, when we were talking to Larry in the back and the shoulder, and I'm telling him it's a big show, to answer that question, in that situation, that falls on, we don't know until Reno gets into Reno needed to experience that in that situation. Shaq doesn't know what he can do until he's on a major stage. You got to throw guys out there and you got to have them take chances. That's what companies are afraid to do, and a lot of companies can't get to the point to even be able to offer that. But Karina Kyle is in charge of that. Karina Kyle's the veteran referee, and no knock on her or anything, but she knows her shit. Sparky knows his shit. Chico Lopez knows his shit. When there's a guy who's young in the business and this is his first time trying to pace something along, and there's a younger guy that you're trying to bring up and get over, as far as the look, the energy, the charisma, talking, what Shaq is, yes, he's ready for that role. Now, is he ready to go out there? It's the prospect championship. That's the developmental phase of students coming out of primetime university, no matter if anybody wants to mock it or not. But Karina Kyle is in charge of that. I was talking to Brandon Nash today. So he ran down the list of APW worldwide internet champions, right? And it was a who's who, man. I mean, I wish I had the list in front of me just so I can just run it down. And on that list, one man held that belt for 2 years, right? And held that belt when Jason Dedrich had Click Wrestle and all the matches. Internet was just becoming a thing and everything. And matches were $9.99. But there was one match that you could watch for free. And in 2 years, I had 2 title reigns. And it said it right there on the list that Nash was reading. I lost the belt to Psychosis, and I came back the next month to win it back from Psychosis. And the list of people I wrestled, the places I went, what I did as the internet champion for those 2 years, traveling to Japan and who I wrestled and what I did, it was an opportunity for me, but I also stepped up and handled that opportunity because I was doing just as much for them as they were doing for me. They were giving me an opportunity, but they also needed a guy like me that could handle that pressure. That was big pressure. And I say, is the belt a fucking prop? I don't think so. I think if you're running a company and it's a fake looking belt, or you're not running a story and it means nothing, yeah, it's just a fucking prop. But I never felt like the internet championship was a prop. When I saw on the internet last year that they said that I stole the internet championship, I was like, well, if I would have, I'm not a thief, but if I would have stole anything, that's the one belt I should have stole, because I felt like that belt made me, and I felt like I made that belt. I feel like in those years with the internet and where we were going, that not only did I need that belt to elevate myself, but I feel like I elevated that belt when I looked at the list of fucking names that came after me and where all those talents went. And it was because of that run. And if anybody says it wasn't, they can suck my effing dick, because that's just the truth. And I'll sit there in front of anybody's face who says that, because I take great pride. Would I have stole that belt? If I would have stole anything in my life, I should have stole that goddamn belt, but I would have never disrespected Roland and Marcus and Gabe, because that belt meant the world to me, man. And you're listening to me talk with this conviction and passion. So yes, the belt does mean something. And these guys that are out here going, oh, you put a 7th championship on yourself. There's a reason I'm doing that. And yes, that's important to me. I think that's important. If you're going to be the champion of my company, that's the hardest championship I feel you can win, because you're going to have to show me that you're dedicated. If somebody puts a belt on you at a company that doesn't matter, yeah, it's a fucking prop. Who gives a shit? Because it doesn't matter. But if it's a company that actually takes pride in telling stories and building characters. Fuck that promoter telling you, I think you're the guy that I need to be in this position. That's the ultimate form of respect. Yeah, in turn, it's a fucking prop. It's all wrestling. It's fake. That's the fucking problem with the business, that we think it's fake. You said it earlier. Rear back and fucking hit somebody. Make me win.
And I'm not sure if I told you the whole story about, when you say fake wrestling. The first thing I say when I get in the truck with Larry yesterday is my kids are asking, "Hey, who you traveling with? How you getting to the show?" I was, "Oh, I'm traveling with Larry." And they go, "Well, he's not refereeing, is he?" And you and I might go, "Oh, it's because, maybe they think he doesn't do a great job or something." But it's because they saw him get hurt, right? They saw him get hurt in Yarrington, and it's pro wrestling and it's real to them, right? So they said, "Larry's not wrestling because he's hurt." And then he goes, "Well, did you tell him that I'm not really hurt?" It's like, no, why would I do that? The whole goal of this pro wrestling is to get people to believe that what we're doing is real, right? And you could tell them 100 times that what we're doing is not real, but when they watch it happen, they get lost in it and they get sunk in there and they go, "Man, obviously that guy's hurt," right? So then for you and I, it absolutely breaks our heart to see right afterwards you're standing in a circle of your friends telling them how phony pro wrestling is after they just watched you get hurt, right? It's like, if you're not going to, like, if I'm not going to walk around in my own house with my kids and selling like I am still hurt from getting kicked in the jaw, I'm not still hurt from getting hit in the back with a chair, I'm doing my business a disservice by like intentionally telling people that what we're doing is not realistic. Like, hey, don't be entertained. Don't believe what we're doing. It's just like, I don't know, man. I get so irritated with that it's like, why are we telling these stories? Why are we trying to get people to pay money to come to our promotion and watch these stories be told if we're going to turn right back around right after the show's over and the curtain falls down? We're going to come back. "Hey, I'm good, man. No problem. I'm perfect." Right?
Does this podcast even happen if kayfabe's still alive? And if this podcast happens when kayfabe's still alive, being done the right way, we're not talking about what we're talking about right now.
Absolutely not.
That's what pisses me off. And it's not, I need these subscribers so we can make money or anything like that, or I can feel good about myself. We're in an era where the curtain, like you just said, is fucking ripped away and fucking thrown in a fucking F5 tornado storm and never coming back. So we're trying to fucking help you guys. We have the ability because of this bullshit. And that's what it is. It's fucking bullshit that you guys go, and I'm not you, but it's bullshit that these guys go, "It's a work. The belt's a prop. You're not really the champion." Shut the fuck up. Yes, I am the champion. I won a belt last night, right? I got the fucking belt. It's real. It's still real to me, damn it. I got the fucking belt. I'm the champion. And if I believe I'm the champion and I handle myself and conduct business like I'm the fucking champion, if I believe I'm the champion, these motherfuckers are going to believe I'm the champion and they're going to care. And if I can make you care about my belt and I can make you care about that championship, then no, this is not a prop. Because is the fucking guy on the Sons of Anarchy fucking on the fucking Harley a real fucking biker in a biker gang? No, he's not. Because I seen him as a British guy on a British movie. But I believe his fucking character, and I buy into Charlie, whatever his name, is a badass in a fucking biker gang, because that's what he's presenting to me. And when you present something to somebody and you do a good job of it, or dare I say a great job of it, they are going to reciprocate back to you. And that's what I was talking about in that fucking match. Is I wasn't talking about all the other stuff. I was saying that she didn't die. She, from the time she walked out to the time she came back, they were still cheering for her, because she's, every time they did. And that's something that you've heard me instill in her, saying, Maple, that's half the battle, right? I told Jalen, I said, Jalen, I said, they're chanting your name. You have the look, the athleticism, the energy. You're hitting on the mat, but you're not connecting with them. They're giving you, they're saying your name. You have to connect with them. You have to be a fucking baby face like that, but they like you. He asked me today, he said, what do you see for me in the future? And this is what I told him. And I'll say it right here on this. And I'll say this to anybody watching. I said, what do I see? I said, well, we're building stars here. I said, go grab a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil. He said, okay. I said, you're going to write 3 things on this. He goes, what's that? I go, first, you're going to write the only thing that can stand in Jalen Love's way is Jalen Love. Then I said, okay. He's like, all right. I said, now, number 2, I want you to write winner of the 2027 Last Man Standing Rumble, Jalen Love. And now I want you to write one more thing. Main event at Extreme Measures 28 for the PCW Championship. Whoever the champion is versus Jalen Love. And I want you to put that up on your wall and tape it. Or if you got a dry erase board, right there. I want you to plaque that shit. And I want you to look at that fucking shit. And that is your goal in the next year. And for every wrestler in PCW and every wrestler across the fucking globe, you need to write this shit down and put it up somewhere where you can look at it every fucking day when you wake up. Because what are my plans for you? Those are my fucking plans for you. Because that's what your plans should be for yourself. And that's the beauty of this. Seeing you up in here in this screen, brother, I am well aware. I know where your promotion's going to go. I know where my promotion's going to go. And if we can get more people and more wrestlers to buy into this, Ollie says it all the time. There's so much money to be made. I was arguing the Mick Foley thing with him. And you know what he said to me? I was pitching a good argument to my coach, a real good one. And he goes, yeah, Zach. But he goes, and he said something so good to me. He said, the fact that there's a dead guy named The Undertaker is the fucking problem with this thing. The fact that there's a dead guy, that this fucking 6'4", 300-pound manic fucking psychotic depressant that pulls out his hair and harms himself. Like I'm pitching the character to him, and he's going, that's the problem, that this guy's impervious to pain. And that's where wrestling fails. You can have the characters and all that stuff, but he's right. But we have to believe, because we always go back to this. We talked about when we had AJ Kershaw on here. And when we had AJ Kershaw on here, we were talking about the Jolly Green Giant, you and, you know what I mean? And it's a perfect example, because the Wrecking Ball Paul Isadora is a fucking machine, but he can also be the Jolly Green Giant, and everybody can snicker and laugh at him. But when he hits you with that overhand fucking chop, they're not laughing about that.
Absolutely. Yeah, and man, getting back to the setting the goals, you know, that goes right back to going, is it a prop? Is it a real championship, right? If you know, you've heard it for decades. If your goal isn't to be the champion of the pro wrestling company, then you're probably in the wrong line of work, right? So, you know, if you are not willing to go, hey, I need to set my goals on what is it going to take for me to not only win this Rumble, but to be in that main event and potentially beat whoever's the champion at the time. If that's not your goal, then why are you doing this? It's like that's the difference between someone who's taking pro wrestling seriously and wants to make the most of it to somebody who is just doing this as a hobby. This is a fun thing. And those are the guys that are not going to be in the same type of shape that Jalen Love is in. Those are the guys that are not going to be taking things seriously like he's taking things seriously. You think about this new crop of guys that you've got, so much potential. And if your goal isn't to be the top guy in this company, then your focus is on something that it shouldn't be on, right? You want to be the guy that can put the, you talk about, I am really the champion of this company, and you are willing to put that pressure on you. Like I get back to Adam, it's like, as much as people want to say, hey, that's just a prop or whatever, it's like, no, I'm realistically putting the pressure on myself that I am the champion of this company. I'm the face of this company. I am carrying this company. And with that comes, I need to be the draw, right? People need to be paying to see me wrestle because they want to see me in that top spot. And I'm willing to take that pressure and all that comes with it to take that role on. I'm gonna go full force and I'm gonna take this role. I'm gonna be the best guy on the show, right? I'm gonna be deserving of the top spot on this card every single night, right? And then it becomes who's got the motivation to try to take this spot away from me, right? Because I'm the top guy here, and now you're gonna have to climb the ladder to get to this title opportunity, this spot, to take this, we call it it's just the belt, but it is realistically the top spot in the company, the most important person of the company, the focus of the company. So if you're not willing to take that, put that onto your shoulders and take that load on,
yep,
and just fucking go to work, man, that's you're probably doing the wrong thing. Obviously I know. Go ahead.
You said it though. What does everybody get in the business want to be? They want to be in the main event of WrestleMania and be the champion. Oh, sorry guys. Guess that's a prop. Ain't nobody making fucking 7 figures on top of the WWE as the biggest star in the world headlining WrestleMania. You think CM Punk thinks that main event spot and that belt's a prop? You think? I don't think so either. I don't think Roman Reigns thought that fucking almost 4-year run was just a fucking prop. Sure the fuck Bret Hart didn't think the fucking belt was a prop. I know the fuck Hulk Hogan didn't. I'm pretty damn sure after a screw job in fucking Montreal, fucking over one of the most loyal employees of all time on national fucking television, I'm pretty sure that those guys didn't think that belt was a prop, or they wouldn't have give a fuck if the guy would have handed it back over before he left or took it on to the. It's like they're contradicting themselves. Who are these people that are saying this doesn't matter? You know who it is? Somebody who doesn't matter. And maybe not matter in life or to their wife or kids or fucking girlfriends or fucking family members. But if that's your mentality that this shit doesn't fucking matter, then yeah, you are in the wrong fucking business. And that's just the facts. It's like what Sergio said after working with Jalen. He said, I was really proud of tonight because I saw what had happened with. He said, and to be honest with you, and I don't care if it's ratting anybody out or anything, it should be said, if you're a veteran wrestler and you can't look at a young wrestler in those matches and say, hey, I'm going to help you tonight, this is the way it needs to be, then you're kind of a piece of shit. And I'm not talking about anything, but if I was working someone who was, when I worked Kid Carson, I knew he was limited. I knew he was limited, but I knew what I needed to do to get him over, right? And the two people, Dreamy Drew and Malcolm Flex, and yeah, and this doesn't mean that I don't like you. It just means that I want you to know, if you're listening to this, my job with a guy, Kid Carson, was to get him over. Whether he listened or not, my going into the match, I'm not looking at this like I'm getting over. I'm looking at it like I'm getting him over. So that's how I'm structuring this thing, is to put this talent over, to get him over. They didn't go into that with that intention. They went in that intention saying, I want to look good in the process and get my stuff in wrestling this guy. And to hear Sergio say, man, I was really proud that I was able to get this guy over. It's like, man, you're a team player. And there's so many people that aren't, way over 5 minutes have elapsed, but there's so many people that come across as they're professionals and they want to be team players, or they're here for the betterment of the business, and they're not. And that's okay. If you enjoy wrestling on the weekend and this is what you want to do, and the belt is fake and it's a prop and you just want to have fun, fucking go for it. You know, it's the same thing I always hear. You know, we get to different levels in this. I saw Flaco Loco posting the other day that, you know, he's having more fun in wrestling than he's ever had. And he knows where his place is and what he's doing. And that's great. You know, after I'm done with what I'm doing right here in the short period of time, I don't ever want to wrestle the fucking main event in my life again. And if you put me in the main event on one of your shows, I'm going to stomp on your foot and kick you in the nuts for real. And you know, but I'm just, it's, man, you gotta understand the business. It's like Maple's, they're chanting for Maple. And I look back and I go, hit her fucking music. And Manny goes, yep. And he hits the music to get it. It's even bigger. And then Buck and Bay weren't going out. It was almost like they were waiting for her to go out and get her pop. And then they wanted their music to play. You know what I mean? Like, guys, you better get out there and get in on this fucking hitch your fucking wagon to this fucking wild horse right here. Because no matter what music hits or when you go, if you don't walk out there with her right now with her, you're not gonna associate yourself with the star power, the pop. Get in on it, man. Steal a little bit, because now is your opportunity. You've been booked so that you're getting some of this. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, I want to have sex with both you girls right now. And they go, nah, no. Or the girls are like, I want to have sex with you individually. And they're like, no, we want to do it all together. And you go, but that's not working for me. I want you first. And then when I'm done with you, when I'm ready for you, we're going to go next. And it's like, nah, you got an opportunity right here in front of you. Take it. Run with it. And that's what's wrong with the wrestling business. Can it be fixed? I don't know. Nobody knows. That's the beauty of what we're trying to do. And for people who hate on us for trying to do it, or snicker and laugh, or think they know better, as Rick Luxury eats his chili dogs.
Oh man, I can totally relate to the hit your wagon, man. You know, because I definitely did that for years with Adam and Luster, and I was like, they allowed me to be a part of the Reno Scum, and you know, based off of just traveling with them. So it was just like, I am going to scoop as much of that heat as I can, you know. So it feels like you're getting those cheers also, but hopefully in your mind, you know, like, hey, these are the guys, these are the stars, they're getting that thing, but I'm getting associated with this, and I'm getting to experience a little bit of that myself. And, you know, and that gets you more driven to be that person that's going to come out of the curtain and the crowd's going to go bananas, right? What do you have to do? How hard do you have to work to be that person in that role, and be the person that's on the top of those cards? Man, this hour has flown by, man. like just a couple questions, and it is all over, man.
And you're 7 feet tall, Paul. So as much experience as you're getting, it's not like they're just pulling some random guy out there to fucking like look at this visual that they're getting at. You're also contributing to the growth of this. And I think a lot of guys don't feel that too, is like, oh, you're doing me a favor. Thank you. But I'm also doing you a favor. And there's a reason you're asking me to ride alongside of you out there in front of these people, because maybe I do have something to offer to help everybody out in the on turn. Hey, hit that subscribe button. Paul, close us the fuck out because you're on fire today, brother.
That's it, man. This is Paul Isadora and Zack Primetime Reeb, and we're going over.